And we are live. My name is JP Berg, and this is episode 48 of The Philosopher, the Stoic, and the Teddy Bear. I'm joined by my co-hosts, Peyman Askari and Kris Erikson. How are you gentlemen doing?
Good.
And today we will be
Fantastic.
discussing the Trump assassination attempt, the UK ban on nicotine, and the Manitoba ban on access to social media for youth. So we got some good topics. So we'll start. I guess we might as well start on the Trump thing. I think we'll be talking the least about that. There's not much to say. What are your thoughts on this whole thing, Peyman?
I saw it happening late at night, and I was like, "God damn it! I just wanted to go to bed." One night, I wanted to go to bed early, and I approached it from the position of what are people going to say. So you're obviously going to have the people that are going to say this was staged, and there is some merit to that because Donald, the Iran. If you wanted to distract from the Iran thing, this would seem like a legitimate thing to do. I don't really buy that. I mean, how are you going to find somebody? You could say that they let it happen, but I don't think they staged it. People are just saying the most ridiculous things, like Trump didn't overreact, so he must have been in on it. I'm waiting for Robert Barnes to come out and say that's an early sign of dementia. People are saying they got JD Vance out there earlier. They wanted Trump to die. It's absurd. But I don't understand how security could be that bad. I'm surprised this isn't reflecting even more badly on the Secret Service. I mean, the three of us could have done just as piss poor a job as those guys.
What are your thoughts, Kris?
Yeah, I agree. Like, what's most fascinating to me is how quickly the channel changes, right? Like, it's just one thing after another. You know, obviously, I think one of the responses I saw was Dana White. This was amazing. I didn't move and stuff. And it's just like it seems so surreal, right? And you know, and to your point, Payman, it's like how does that happen? How does it happen? How does someone get in? Like, it's one of those things in this day and age. I'm not going to get into conspiracy theories. I think there's a lot of crazy people out there that, you know, they fomented so much hate. Both sides are so polarized. We kind of see the same thing in Canada, just not to that degree, and obviously the volume and the personality types that are involved. But yeah, it's surprising to me that it just keeps how quickly the channel can change, and I think that's kind of scary, you know. But everything's moving a mile a minute. Every day there's a whole bunch of arrows being thrown at us, and we just got to try and keep our shit together and try and see the fog the best we can. So I'll land it there.
I definitely wouldn't say I think it was staged, but I definitely have to mention some of the coordinated messaging you've seen immediately thereafter. I wasn't aware of it right away, so it was going on an hour before I became aware of it, and then I noticed, and it's like this just happened, an assassination attempt, and there's a coordinated message to build the ballroom. Literally, all of the pro neocon magaspheres like, we got to build this ballroom, and it was surreal to me. I'm like, that seems so ludicrous of all of the things to say, and it was so coordinated. It seemed entirely synthetic. So I definitely don't think this was staged. I think this was a random nut job. The manifesto kind of attests to that. But you have to stand back in awe at some of the propaganda on both sides of all of this. It's phenomenal to behold.
What's that saying? Never let a tragedy go to waste. Why?
Honestly,
Why waste a perfectly good potential ballroom? The left. Here's a realization I've had. The left it's a hive mind, and they don't believe in anything except government should take care of us. So government comes in, they guarantee us a higher standard of living. Sure, we're kicking the can down the road, and we're, you know, through inflation, we're, you know, robbing the future generations. But right now, things are good. We can go on our trips to Mexico. So that's, in my opinion, and this is my hypothesis, that's why there's no division on the left. On what we call the right, you know, you got the Christians, you got the nationalists, you got the classical liberals, you got the libertarians. I think I covered the whole gambit there. But seemingly we're not getting along. I would say to Donald Trump, I can look the other way if you're a Zionist or if you're Israel first or whatever, but try to use tragedies like this to unify the base, put out some kick-ass memes, you know, like that meme of Donald Trump just looking at the camera and they're putting some like rap music on the background. Sure, it's, you know, maybe it's not how I would like it. I would like an educated electorate, but at this point, get the F out of the Middle East, and try to use this to rally the base to get some more justice, like make this investigation a little bit more transparent, and I don't know, consolidate the MAGA coalition again.
Yeah, and there's that division there that is not easy to repair, because I think you have a lot of powerful voices within that group, and you know, it's hard because what are we doing? Like, what's the mission? I mean, America's different than Canada. We got a whole different crazy circus going on here. But it's one of those things where there's that constant divide. You're right. You nailed it. I think you hit all the groups, right? And within that, you have actual like critical thinking. And so on the left, it's like they can't. And again, I'm not broad brushing, but a lot of them can't have like any critical thinking skills as far as being able to see past Tuesday, right? They look at something and it's like, oh yeah, good, daddy, government. And it's like not realizing that, hey, you know, government is not your friend, right? If you view the government as your friend, then there's a problem there. It's like, are they your enemy? You know, it depends in that sense as far as what happened during COVID. Like I felt like they were viewing me as the enemy at the very least, right? And we still have the same things going on. And I think so many people in Canada, just to pull it back to us, so many people in Canada are like on the left, they're okay, whatever, go do your trips and everything, and pretend just nothing's wrong, everything's fine, government will take care of me. But on the right, that like think about that 6 years, if not longer, because again for me it's like 6 years where I'm kind of like, what the hell is this? But that level of anxiety builds up and they keep hitting us. And I talk about this a lot on here, right? About not forgetting to take care of yourself, and that division. In Canada, we have it just as much, right? And so do I think it's easier in America for Trump to pull back and motivate and get the base together? I think it'd be a lot easier for him. He's got a much bigger megaphone and a much better way of being able to message, where we don't have that in Canada. We don't have alternative media. Like, we don't have a Fox News. I'm not saying Fox News is great, but at least you have a way of communicating with people. So Canada's in a bit of a bubble. But I do think in that sense that it's easier to get through to conservatives in this province and this country to be able to say, okay, we don't agree on this, we don't agree on that, but we do agree. We see that storm, and we got to stick together and figure out a way to get over that hill. Sorry for the long one. Go ahead, JP.
I honestly, man, now there's some division there. It was a precarious situation. You had kind of various elements coming together under the banner of MAGA. But I mean, the division makes sense. This is supposed to be the golden age. Trump ran as a repudiation of neoconservatism, and we're in seemingly a regime change war for Israel. That's how I interpret it. Sincerely, I see no benefit for America in engaging with Iran. To hold on to the American hegemon, essentially. But I mean, it's clearly the way it went down. They even released a statement that kind of contradicted, because it was, oh, well, we didn't say this was for Israel. And then it says in this official White House document, like, well, Israel, we were protecting our ally Israel. Like, it's just right there. It's masks off. So, I mean, I think there's the Trump base has a reason to be divided. They feel betrayed in a lot of ways. But I mean, it's again, it was precarious to begin with. But from my estimation, I think I'm siding more with the part that's more skeptical of Trump right now.
I want to go back to what I said. I'm not ignoring you, JP. You'll see. I'll bring it back. So I in one of my podcasts today, somebody asked the question, do you think that the left-right thing is real, or do you think it's just made up? And I immediately thought of you, JP, because you always say the left-right thing is synthetic. And my view right now is, if you look at the left as like transgenderism and the right as remigration or brown people bad, then yes, it is synthetic. It's just designed specifically to divide. But if you look at it as I guess what you call top down, but what I say, the left is like these urban centers that are dependent on government, and the right are more independent-minded, free-thinking people, libertarians, classical liberals, Christians. Christians believe in providence. They believe, not providence, a prudence, responsibility. I think that the left-right thing is real, but it just depends how you define it.
So I just got to jump in right quick. It's not that I never thought it was real. I think these are I think they're actually predicated on aspects of your temperament for which way you lean. I just think it's being manipulated. I think they've hacked us relative to that, and that's what I think they do. And you see it all over the place with the political parties. I think that's synthetic. I think they control the parameters of this in this way. So then if you do have something that falls outside of those control parameters, it's easier to dismiss. But no, I definitely think these things are real. I just think they're less relevant because when I interpret everything right now, I'm not thinking left and right and communist versus fascism. I'm thinking we're all neo-serfs in some kind of neo-feudalist system. Like it's just our whole monetary system is predicated on usury. We're inflated beyond reason. They're destroying our economies. I don't think it's relevant more so than real. Go ahead, Kris. Sorry, I jumped in there.
No, don't. It's all good, man. I think there's like aspects of it that are real because you can't take away from the ability. I'll say it this way. I think there's probably 20% on the left that are either actors or very unstable people or that have influence that are able to stoke the flames whenever we need a distraction away from like the overarching game that's being played, whether you want to talk Agenda 2030 or all the other games. Then on the other side, you have the ability of some of the people on the right to do the same, right? Are they getting their marching orders from the same people? I don't know. Maybe, because it just seems the timing. But then you have the rest, the center right, you have the center left, and you have the center, where we're all just standing here going, why the hell are the crazy people the ones with the mics? Like, why are they the ones that are able to stoke it? And then you get the media pushing it, and it all just looks like a stage to me. Like you traumatize a population, and then you use that trauma to manipulate their emotions to get you further down the line towards whatever the end goal is here. So I think there's something real to the ability to play the right off the left or to play the left off the right. But I don't exactly know if it's organic. I wouldn't necessarily say it's organic. I would say there's a lot of people that are feeding off the emotional suffering of Canadians on both sides. So I'll leave it there.
Well, you look at the Southern Poverty Law Center, and that's a classic strategy of tensions. We went over this before in one of our episodes, Peyman, where it's like they actually pay for actors to play the opposition, so they can then their kind of position is more bolstered. It's a common element of like color revolutions, and it's seemingly occurring everywhere. It's just the way I see it right now. And again, I question relevance. Like right away after every major event, the Charlie Kirk assassination, all of the Trump attempts, it was right away. Everyone get back in your ideological camp. It's the left. We got to unify the right. And I'll tell you something, man. The vast majority of people I encounter are politically illiterate. They don't know what left and right means, let alone where do they fit in within this paradigm. So, I mean, I think we put too much emphasis on that. And I don't think it's as relevant as most people do. That's for sure.
Yeah, the SPLC, it's like they took a page out of the CIA manual on how to, start wars in the Middle East. We don't have to use the word left, right, but I just, on our side, it's people that favor small businesses, family unit, independent agency, individual agency, sovereignty, self-sufficiency. And then on the other side, you have these so-called liberals that support socialism, healthcare, public education, and pensions. And then you have the so-called conservatives that also support socialism, big military, big, security police state. All of those people, I just dump them in the same bucket. You can come up with a term for them. But I agree, JP. These people, they're completely clueless. We're marching into whatever you call it, neo-feudalism. I'm not as good as with these fancy terms, but it seems seemingly like the people are just politically illiterate.
And what is it going to take for them to actually get to shake them, to realize when are they going to ever wake up one day and look at the price of food, look at the cost of living, see all the homeless people and just the viciousness. I mean, in BC, we're kind of like special. We're like almost like the petri dish for ridiculous policy, like the most harmful possible policy you could throw out there. And I don't know, is it a test? Like how much will people in this province put up with? But to pull it back, what you said, a lot of it is the urban centers, right? Like that's where the lot of the population is. But the vast majority, I think, of people outside of those weird big cities, you know, I still think, you know, that the majority of the people on this planet are good people, but they're so distracted. They got so many things on their plate that they have to do just to get to Friday so that they can have a couple drinks with their friends and watch sport ball or something, right? Just to be able to relax for a night, right? And then people take advantage of it. So I'm hopeful. Again, we've been saying this for years now. It's like eventually it'll be on people's doorsteps, and that's what's going to wake them up. There's going to be a lot of people that never wake up, and they're going to be the most dangerous ones if it really goes bad. You know?
I think one of the biggest things that prevents solidarity and prevents people from seeing the real problems is the division. It's like that gets all the emphasis, and that's where the emphasis is put on. And like you were kind of saying, Kris, it's more the more extreme ones that are kind of favored by these algorithms. So you're seeing like super far left, blue-haired Antifa types, and then you're seeing like white nationalist types on the right. And it's kind of putting everyone who's in the middle, it's making you fall into line on either side of it even more, right? Like it has that kettling effect just by its very nature. G. Edward Griffin, who famously interviewed Yuri Bezmenov, and he also wrote a book called The Creature of Jekyll Island about the monetary system, about the Federal Reserve. He has a really interesting take from a few years ago. It's on YouTube he calls it the right-left paradigm. I've been using the term slave dialectic, but I mean, you just start to notice the patterns, the overarching patterns, and you wonder like, how relevant is this? But I would recommend people definitely checking that video out for sure. It's an interesting way to start to frame it, to see kind of beyond it.
What are we talking about?
the left right thing, the relevance of the left right paradigm.
Yeah, they're definitely. So let's take social media. Robert Malone was the one who was pointing out, he goes, all of these advertisement-based social media platforms, they're basically intel operations. It's a very sophisticated way of manipulating the public, much more effectively, but definitely a lot faster than you could do with mainstream media. And they do it through the algorithm. And I'll just give some basic examples. Now that I'm off X, I'm going on YouTube. And just today or yesterday, I was like, wait a minute. I remember a guy named Victor Davis Hanson. He's a hardcore Christian conservative. I used to listen to him back in 2020. I haven't listened to him in 4 years because the algorithm hasn't recommended him to me. And I even extended to Amazon. I've been doing some purchases on Amazon, and everything that gets recommended to me is cheap, the Chinese knockoff products. That algorithm can really manipulate your behavior.
Yeah, we see it every day. And it's like on my account, I say our account, those that are walking with me, has never been so deboosted. And I there's like metrics. I'm not going to point at the system because I'm also doing things a little bit differently, right? But you know, putting anxiety out into the world was just one of those things that I just don't feel comfortable doing, right? And at the same time, there is like every time they change the algorithm, it's when my feed changes, it's like, why are you recommending this to me? Right? Like where are all the people that I actually do engage? And it used to be if I shared your stuff, you'd keep coming up, you'd keep showing up in my feed. So it would be like a nice little system that would keep feeding me the people that I engage with. And every time they change the algorithm, poof, I lose people. They're gone. Right? The content that I usually would get, now I have to go and try and search for it. So it's almost like they scramble things. They have the ability to create a disconnect within groups as well, too. And now they're getting rid of community groups. So I don't exactly know what the end game is, but I do know that it can mess with your mind easily, right? You have to pull back. You got to pull those arrows out of your chest at the end of every day. Leaving X, I mean, that where Peyman go, but I understand it because it's so frustrating. And there's even, I think, a lawsuit in the States where a bunch of people are suing X for suppressing conservatives. You can't call yourself a public square. So it was Linda who said that, right? Oh, freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach. Well, who are you? Right? Like let the public square determine who are the influencers rather than you anointing people, giving them power, money, you know, access, control. There's so much power behind I think it's a chatbot now or whatever, an AI that's doing it now, but I'll land it here and just saying they're able to make or break people. And there's a lot of people behind the scenes that are that's their job. And it's not just people, it's groups. demoralize people, get them to leave the platform. If they have a voice like yours, Peyman, you should come back. But again, I understand it's probably much better for your health. Go ahead, JP.
I don't think the powers that be will ever let the public have a true open forum for discourse, a real public square, because we would undo their influence right away. I really do. I think if we weren't being manipulated by algorithms, in my eyes, I agree with what you said, Peyman, or if you were kind of citing Malone, but I've frequently said it's a sophisticated algorithmic propaganda tool where the user themselves become the propaganda and they're weaponized against each other. It could foment division based upon anything. It could put emphasis on any narrative or de-emphasize any narrative. It does this just by the algorithm, by the coding. So it's definitely it's not something I think is going to be resolved anytime soon. That's for sure. But this new algorithm, like you were saying too, Kris, it's next level, man. It's really bad. There's a lot, like even humongous American accounts are saying like, yeah, I can't access my followers. I put like 6 years into building this, and I could see them having now they would have a case if they didn't sign those big convoluted agreements when they were starting, because that stuff's written by like expert lawyers on how no matter what happens, these people have no recourse. So I think X and most social media platforms are safe in that regard, but it's not right, that's for sure.
I was this is a couple of years back now, like 5 years ago. I went to the bank and I was opening up a bank account, and the girl I was working with was really attractive and I was trying to impress her. So she's like, you got to sign these documents. If you like, you could read them. I'm like, yes, of course I'll read them. I read through like one page of like 36 pages. I was like, all right, I'm done. I've read probably thousands of pages of legal documents and I could not read that thing. It was written in Klingon. And that's on purpose. This is I kind of wanted to also shift the conversation to the 16-year-old social media ban. And it's not just, or maybe it goes hand in hand with the algorithm that's manipulating and corrupting our brains. Our political landscape is just as corrupting of our brains. Rachel Bendayon comes on to the Liberal Party convention and she gives a speech about how, we need to adopt a policy so that 16 and under, mandated social media, blah, blah, blah. A few days later, Wab Kinew comes out and he announces it as well. These overlords are moving in lockstep, and the people unaware, like sheep, lambs to the slaughter. Nobody is really is taking note of what's going on.
Yeah, and you have it all coming out at the same time, right? Like that came out, and then all of a sudden, oh, you got what Carney did today. We want to talk about that later. Bunch of things the Liberals are doing on a federal level, and then, but you said like Nikki Sharma in BC. Now she's asking the federal government for the same thing. And it's like, it's not your job to parent government. And to be quite honest with you, what you did with Soji and the transgender ideology, that's going to go down as one of the worst things that a country or, Western world has ever done to children. I've said this before. We used to sanction countries for mutilation in other countries around the world. And now we're promoting it, like, and punishing people for saying, hey, can you just leave the kids alone? Right. So government's shown like it's not their job. Right. Yes, there's obviously circumstances where there is not a parent in the child's life and there's foster systems and stuff like that. But get out, like, leave the kids alone. And it's one step, right? Because it's always like you say, oh, you don't want to protect the kids. This is about digital ID. Right. This is the slow creep. Eventually, if you want to get on the internet, you're going to have to anonymity will be gone. Right. They want to know everything about you. They want to know where you are, what you're thinking. And we're giving it to them. Right. I mean, we've probably all got dossiers on ourselves. I got 100,000 tweets out there. So you can probably formulate where I'm at on things. But it's none of their business. And the way they're all moving in lockstep is kind of terrifying. And so we got to wait and see. But it's one of those things where it's like, how the hell did we get here to the point where you could be having all this kind of stuff happening? And today too, banning cigarettes as well, right? It's just like the government, there's no stopping them. There's no checks and balances. It seems on many levels like our institutions have failed. When was the last time you heard somebody got arrested? Well, actually someone in the States got arrested when Anthony Fauci's sidekicks during COVID got arrested for hiding documents during the event. But we don't see anything like that in Canada. We just see floor crossers. And it was funny. I'll finish on this with the floor crossers. Like, how can you have faith in a system? Like we've been saying for a long time, uniparty. And it's like, I'm a conservative for 20 years. Now I'm a raging liberal. The deals behind the scenes, it should be criminal. So I'll leave it there. But the government needs to back off. It's not their job to parent. Not at all. Go ahead, JP.
Yeah, it's a testament to how skewed the role of government is interpreted by most Canadians. The fact that this isn't just outrageous for them to say this, like you're going to basically essentially insert yourself into my home and do the parenting for me and tell me what age it's appropriate for me to let my children watch something. It's like I've been saying about this. I thought of right away, there's a law in China that it's video games is a problem over there for the youth. So the government, the state made a law that mandates 1 hour maximum. So that's from the government. And it's like, that's normal in China. But I mean, it's becoming introduced into Canada. And if we don't oppose this vehemently, which we're not opposing any of this. Most Canadians don't even understand it or realize it's going on. But if we don't, we're going to lose. It's once you let them have that level of control, it's downhill from there.
You know, I remember during the first Trump administration, Trump was he was more of a statesman. He was more of a leader of the country. He would come out and he would make comments about the direction the society should go in. Like, we oppose this Black Lives Matter, we oppose DEI. And he really was a conservative. He was like a conservative North Star. And this is why I'm so angry with this invasion of Iran. Not only is his age an issue now and he's not doing that as much, but he got bogged down in Iran. And for, what is it, a month and a half? It was just a waste of time. I wanted to see something like those court cases that oppose transgender surgeries in the US. If Trump had just picked up on that and made it his mission to end all transgender surgeries for children around the world, the people on the base wouldn't have fractured. But instead, he went down this neocon path, maybe legitimately to oppose China and try to stall them. But I don't think it paid dividends. I think he really harmed himself.
I agree. And it was kind of a surprise. You know, we saw what happened with Maduro. It's kind of like, okay, that's interesting. And then you see that. Like, and for people who aren't really paying attention, Iran is not Afghanistan. Iran is not Iraq. Right? Like, look into that. Like, actually pulling the trigger on that. And we see with the Strait of Hormuz and you know, just the impacts on the world, let alone, come on, guys. Like, are we ever going to get to the point where bombing people and killing people is viewed as primitive? Why are we doing this? And how many innocent people? For what? Right? Like, again, I'm anti-war. I understand at times, yeah, there may be a need, but I did not see a need for this here. So I support that, Peyman. Like, and it's confusing. It was actually with Trump when he brought in the guy from Pfizer and they made a whole bunch of deals. There's been a few things for me where I'm kind of like, okay, you know, no one I don't think has been arrested on the Epstein file side. Like, come on, man, pick the ball up and start throwing. Play some dodgeball. Start throwing some balls at people. Phrasing, I know. Go ahead, JP.
Get the Baja room built.
I like dancing, but it's not the primary focus of what should actually be happening. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I've not seen anything like it. I believe it's a 180. That's why I was kind of saying earlier, like I'm not surprised that Trump supporters are upset. Now you could go on, you could come now like this is 5D chess. They're fighting the British Empire through its proxy Iran. I've heard all of that. Yeah. But even if that's the case, considering the extent of how he's veered from his promises, you're still right now for being skeptical. You're still right now for scrutinizing this. You don't just let that go. You don't just trust a plan. That's synonymous with being retarded. Like, especially when it's this important. Like, it's just shocking to me how these people can just dismiss all these concerns. Oh, you're a panicking. And then again, there's a concerted, coordinated effort on social media to push that narrative. Build the Baja room, guys. Like, it's just wild to me.
This whole trust the plan, and it's faith-based. So it's wow, that's a big bottle of Pepsi. What is that? 800 grams of sugar?
No, it's diet, bro.
All
I
right.
gotta watch my waistline.
Yeah, it's faith-based, this trust the plan. So it's hard for anybody to dispute it. It's almost like your adversary is saying, let's postpone this conversation until at such point that we can see the outcome of it. Okay, whatever. But now that Iran is sort of in the rearview mirror, hopefully, I'm sure they'll pick it up eventually. But at the moment, uh, I think with this assassination attempt, they did a pretty good job with messaging. And by messaging, I mean memes. They put out some memes and it made him look like a victim. He's really better when he is the victim. He's playing the victim card. So like the more assassination attempts, the more likely that they'll win the midterm elections. But hopefully he's learned from his folly in the Middle East and he'll, he won't make that mistake again. If he does, I can't, I don't know, man. Like even if the guy's made out of Teflon, eventually one of these is going to stick to him.
Yeah, it's like you like I'll pull back to what you said. It's politics is politics, right? And it's never no matter who the leader is, you never really have full control. There's the back room, the swamp, right? And even when I was younger, people like, you should run for office. I'm like, no. I've said no like a dozen times because I know it's like you get in and you want to be for the people. Actually, Jordan's teaching me that it can be done, but at the same time, back then, I'm kind of like, no, this is how I am, and so you want me to stay quiet about this? And he says, yeah, but if you stay quiet about this, then you can do this, right? And so with Trump, honestly, I think you hit it on the head, Peyman. If he was to pivot and go right after the transgender ideology, cutting it off, cut off the funding, criminalize it, mutilating children, that you'd think that should be against the law. Where are we, guys? What planet is this? Right. But I think at the same time, he's never going to be perfect. I'm always going to have that little eye of watching to see, because there's big money around him. There are big players, not just in the States. We don't get to be in those back rooms when those deals are made. But if he could actually 180 back and focus on things that the MAGA trust the plan, the people that are, that are honestly caring. There's millions, probably tens of millions of people in America that want to see this transgender surgery stuff stop. I don't care what you do when you're an adult. Taxpayers shouldn't be paying for it, but leave the kids alone. And if he did that, I think he could right the ship to a degree. It wouldn't totally fix it, but I think it would be super helpful to at least inspiring and motivating people again, because a lot of people in America are hurting too. Go ahead, JP.
So yeah, I would certainly like to see that happen. I just don't think it's possible. I think one of the biggest misplays was the whole Epstein debacle. All of a sudden, it went from running on the premise of releasing this, draining the swamp, so to speak. It doesn't get much swampier than the supranational secret system that we're like trafficking children to islands and stuff. That's about as swampy as one can aspire to be, in my estimation. And then it wasn't just like, we're not going to do anything, we're going to make excuses. It's just, forget about that. You guys don't care about America. You're not even MAGA if you care about Epstein. You guys still talking about that? It was an insult. It's smacking your support right in the face. And then the Iran thing over it. All of the him turning on every one of his loyal MAGA people, like Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, everyone's like, oh, well, they turned on him first. It's like, no, well, they were pointing out some of these misplays that were just, again, it was a 180 on a lot of these issues. So, I mean, I think that played poor to him. And now, like, the people that were never Trumpers, the Mark Levins and the Ben Shapiro's, these guys are MAGA now. And you're all supposed to just shut up. Don't be a panicking. It's insulting, man. It really is. I could see why they're outraged. I supported Trump from Canada as a Canadian. So just in spirit. And I'm outraged.
Yeah, from a certain perspective, I get what you're saying. His campaign advisors are saying, sir, you burnt every single one of your bridges. But from my perspective, like, if I was a campaign advisor, I'd tell him, like, all right, Mr. Trump, this is a bad situation, Mr. President, but here are the things, here are the ammunition that we can use. Southern Poverty Law Center, let's make that one main aim of litigating. Michigan, all the fraud, that's another one. Los Angeles, California, the fraud, that's a third one. Epstein client list, I mean, it's a pipe dream, but there's a fourth one. How about we make a big stink about the fact that 3 former presidents, Obama, Biden, and Clinton tried to incite an insurrection over, Michigan. Like he does have ammunition, but he's not using it. Like he's in a hole, and rather than dig himself out, he seems to want to dig himself even deeper.
Something's going on with my camera, guys. Hopefully it'll pick back up. It should probably drop down and come back, eh?
No, that's fine.
It's fine.
Looks like you're airbrushed.
All right, that'll work. Yeah, it is because it's such a shit show, and it's like trying to get a read on what's actually going on in America. And anytime you do use for that, you're probably missing something even more ridiculous that's in your backyard here in Canada. A lot of people I still see a lot of the 51st state groups. I still see a lot of people that are, rah, but we have to figure out a way to fix this here. And with the erratic side of it, I wouldn't necessarily say it's erratic. I don't think anything Donald Trump does is erratic. I think everything is very calculated. I think everything is surgical with what he's doing. I don't think he's running the ship completely though, but he's gone so far off the rails. And to see the people switch to MAGA and how the whole base kind of flipped, again, I'm not sure if you'd call it hijacking or whatever, but we see it. It's like anytime there's a movement, these people want to get control. It's about narrative control, telling people how to think, telling them what to do. And I think that a lot of it is just one giant psyop as they try and keep the balance so that things don't get out of hand to a point where people have just had enough. It's a very well done controlled demolition in a sense, if that's what it is, especially here, because everyone's just kind of like chilling effect from the convoy, don't want their bank accounts frozen, or they're fleeing, they're running away. And then we got us. This blur on my camera's bugging me. I'll go back to you, JP.
Yeah, it's hard to wrap your head around, really. And for me, what it indicates, now there's no direct evidence of anything. You got to look at it in a circumstantial regard. But what it indicates to me, all of these blatant misplays, is that he's not really making the decisions. There might be what he wanted to do, but there's what he's doing, and those things are incongruous seemingly. I mean, I think back to Putin's been saying this for decades now, that the president of the United States is just merely a show for the people, and the true power lies with the intelligence agencies. And I mean, that as sensational as that would have sounded 5 years ago, and as much faith as I wanted to have in Trump, and again, I'm going to say it right now, guys, I pray I'm wrong. I don't just merely hope, I pray I'm wrong. I pray this is 5D chess, and I'll be the first one out there eating my hat. Like, hey guys, I was wrong. I should have trusted the plan. I should have had faith in a billionaire politician. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild, man. I don't know. I kind of lost myself on that one. Peyman, you go ahead.
Just for the audience, we will get to the questions shortly. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments. We go in order of when they were posted. And also, if you could share the stream, we'd appreciate that. Let me tie what's going on with Trump with what's going on in the UK, where they've introduced a law, where if you're past a certain year of birth, you're not allowed to smoke cigarettes. It's just government encroaching on the domain of people's personal lives. And this coalition, when they voted for Trump, that was a repudiation of that. They said, no, this wasn't the vision of George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, for people to be, go out into the frontier and be free. This is tyranny. And that's what Trump should have been focusing on. And I agree with you, John. I'm JP. I'm disappointed as well. I mean, this is not what I wanted. A forever war in the Middle East that has nothing to do with me. Man, I wanted him to come in and set an example and kick Mark Carney's balls right to the roof of his mouth and be like, there's no place for socialism in this hemisphere.
That's so what I was hoping for too. Right? Like, it's one of those things where, it's just like, but we're looking for a savior somewhere, it's just like, come on, you have to know that he sees the problems with Canada. And so for me, it's like, I'm the same as JP. I'm not saying, like, again, I'm not fully, I'm not against Trump. I'm not saying always that I question some of his decisions. I wish he was far more aggressive on other things. And it's the lack of action on other things that makes me very concerned as far as we are in a bad spot up here, right? And so looking down south and being like, and there's even some like, who was it? Robert Kennedy Jr. Was out there calling out MAID, Like he like there are people in the States are starting to notice how messed up our country is. And so the more that we can, and we're in a bubble here, right? If you're listening from outside, I don't even know how many listeners we have from outside, but I think we're algorithm kettled as well too, as far as trying to get our voices out to the rest of the world to say, hey, we got problems here. You know, I'm not saying invade. I'm saying keep talking about it. Like, you use your platforms, talk about the insanity. But when you look at the insanity and you go, oh, that's so crazy, it's like we're living it, we're in it, and we're actually, you know, we're not on the left, we're not on the right. We're kind of like, we are kind of in the middle, obviously right leaning, but at the same time, we're not trying to play the party politics side of things. Where I'm most, like I said the other day, it's like my job, you know, what's my role, what's my mission? That's to help get everyone to tomorrow. Because really, right now, that's all that matters. Is you got to keep going. We have to keep going. And so when you see things like that in the States, you know, it was in a hearing setting when he said it. That it's I'm not sure if he used the term genocide. He might have, but that's what we need. It's like all these. I was going to use the all these retards. Like, seriously, they're not paying attention. They believe everything is fine, but it's not. And I think that to rely on Trump solely as being a savior is a huge mistake. But I wouldn't necessarily rule out some things happening that it can at least draw attention. I'd like to see him sanction us, you know, ban Soji and all the transgender stuff, and then sanction us until we get our ass together. Because what? It's like this, in a big press conference, he gets up and he says, "This is what they're doing to the children." Right? Just big posters, because you know you get banned if you do that on here. Go ahead, JP.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Peyman, man. I was hoping he was just going to come and focus on the West, focus on domestic issues that are the big things he ran on. Draining the swamp, putting his allies in check, like that's. And he initially started to do some of this stuff with the national defense release and putting the EU on notice, and seemingly putting Canada, like it really looked like it for a minute. And then all of this happened. It's like I said, it's seemingly it's beyond his control. And again, it's like I said, man, you can't, anyone who has certitude right now who's trying to analyze this, it's almost indicative of ignorance unless they're privy to some behind the scenes information, because there's just no way. The fog of war is thick. There's never been a moment where it's been more convoluted intentionally by propaganda. So to actually get a hard take on it, it's to have that certitude, it's again, I can't fathom how someone could. So I would be very happy to be wrong about this, and this is 5D chess and everything's great. But I mean, I don't see it this way. We wanted the swamp drained, not you know, for him to just join the swamp.
Just, I don't want to introduce I'm sorry I have to do this, but I wanted to just quickly mention the Alberta separation movement. I was watching an interview with Jeffrey Rath, and his messaging was purely financial, purely economic. Like, they made the conscious decision to avoid all of the social issues, all of the spiritual issues, and say, we just need to make an economic argument. If we separate, everyone's going to be rich. Everyone's going to have gold-plated Bentleys in their driveways, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And this is something Bruce Barty pushed back on. It's something Catherine Kowalczyk has pushed back on. They don't want to touch the social, cultural issues that the three of us are talking about today. Transgenderism, irreversible surgeries. And I think it's a mistake. And the way I tie it back, it's sort of the same mistake that Trump made. He just abandoned all those social issues.
Yeah. And it's like, what if no one's speaking up and no one's doing anything to stop it, right? So I would throw Made in there as well too, right? Everyone's just like, oh, okay, well, you know, whatever. Don't want to step on that because I don't want to be called this or that, right? And the same thing with what they're doing to kids. And I've said this before. I think I even said it last week. It's like a society is judged on how they treat the most vulnerable, right? That's been something that's been said for a very long time. And so right now we're mutilating kids and we're encouraging elderly to off themselves so you can save money on pensions. Like, that's literally that is exactly what's happening. And everyone seems to be going along with it. Everyone in power, they're too scared to say anything because they want to get reelected. They need a new they need their pension, right? Whatever the reason is, they're staring at the young and old and saying, you don't matter for whatever reason, right? Go ahead, JP.
Well, it's the important aspect of that is it's done under the guise of compassion. It's actually compassionate and forward thinking and progressive to barbarically mutilate your children in the name of an ideology that's just not predicated on any sound science. It's actually compassionate to take your uncle who's, got a bum knee and he's 65 to get made because it's going to save the healthcare a whole bunch of money. That's compassion. And it's like I always say, it's a common theme that I come back to. It's when you desanctify humanity, you see decisions like this. And there's nothing sacred about human life or sacred firm beliefs like the whole gender as a construct. Like gender's not real, it's an abstraction, it's a social construct. It's just so ludicrous. And then we're going to actually surgically and sterilize children too. It's like the way I don't think this is going to be an issue that a politician is going to take up, and I think it's going to be sorted out in the courts. And I think we're seeing the preliminary stages of this presently. There's a lot of big cases where these detransitioners have actually sought legal recourse for what's been done to them. And once you see some of these big payouts, I think that will naturally disincentivize the industry. But we shall see on that. But that's the worst part. It's all done under the guise of compassion. It's reflexive empathy, the devouring mother, the Freudian devouring mother.
Are you gentlemen ready for the questions?
Absolutely.
All right, here we go. I got one of you start this one. I had to bring it up. It's from our good friend Andre Veloge. Ben Shapiro is MAGA. Wow, make America gay again. Andre, I guess the three of us will share a jail cell with you, my friend.
That's the quote of the night. I'm giving that quote of the night. I like that.
I'm not touching that.
If our producer is watching, there's your thumbnail title right there. Make America gay again. All right. Okay, let's go back to the comments and we'll just go in order and we'll try to do this as quickly as possible. The first one from David Fishman says, JP, your dog is getting my dog barking as well. Quick comments.
Yeah, my dog, man, if someone goes by and he could smell them like in the apartment, he's off the wall.
Next one is from Peggy. The government banning smoking and vaping, but offers fentanyl on taxpayers' dime. Yeah, they're masters of irony. What do you think, Kris?
Well, I just want to point out too that that happened in the UK a couple of days ago. Today, Sean Fraser, the federal health minister, says that they're going to be looking to do the same thing. But yeah, it's all ass backwards, right? Safe supply and what I will say is like you take cigarettes away, and that's gonna make a lot of people freak out.
Yeah.
It's that incremental step. Do I think people should be smoking if they want to? Right? If you want to, you know the risk. Just government, get out of the way. Right? It's like having like a narcissistic parent. Got to know what you're up to. Like got to be in control. Right? Just got to know everything. Get off my back. Right? But they just keep pushing, and the citizens seem to want to bend over and take it. So this one will be interesting, though. They all will. Go ahead, JP.
They switched them up a lot, but I think Sean Fraser's the attorney general presently. But I saw that comment. He was saying, yeah, it's something we're thinking about. I have my personal opinion on it, but it's shocking, right? And then I seen other people commentating on that, and they would say, "Oh, Canada's not original.
He is the attorney general.
They can't even come up with their own laws." It's like, dude, that's not what this is. This is kind of indicative that there's externalities that are guiding these policies. But what do I know?
All right, moving on. Clown World, thank you for reposting the stream. Squirrel Nuts, thank you for reposting the stream. Max Larway, thank you very much. Alice Not Woke, hello. Johnny Tightlips, JT says mass conformity is the religion. I think he's talking about when I was talking about the urban centers. I think it's an incentive issue. The government is just giving them, it's a brave new world, just plowing them with alcohol, good food options, and cheap labor, cheap on their part.
Yeah, I agree. It's and I think it's that fear. I think because they did it during the COVID event, when they ripped people from their families, they ripped friendships apart. They did a lot of things which would create a fear in people of being left out, right? And so I think that there's a part of that psychologically that some people are just so scared of being left out of the crowd that they just go along. They have no sense of agency. They haven't healed, you know, and it's sad. I just think that JP said earlier, right? They figured out how to hack, and they're very good at it. So, but it's also terrifying seeing that go. Elbows up, guys. Go ahead, JP.
Yeah, it was a process to get here. Like I said, earlier generations would have scoffed at this if the government had even suggested some of these things. Like there was still masculinity in the culture. Like if someone dared said, like, I'm going to tell you how to raise your kids, like it's crazy how far we've fallen in that regard.
We got another long comment from JT. Let me read this one out. What do you all think of the left being the feminine, the right being the masculine? Both can take their visions too far. The overbearing mother, the tyrannical father, one might argue, though one is a better leader generally. Canada is feminine. That's what transgenderism is. Iran is masculine. That's what the morality police are.
Yeah, and well said too. Thanks for the comment, JT. That's the whole thing that I think it pulls back to is the one both can go too far, you know, and that's why it's like you need masculine and feminine in societies, right? But where we're at right now is the massive attack from the left on masculinity, and then you have the masculine side going right after the feminine side it's because again it's been so warped. Men, what is a woman, right? Like I'm going to be a woman today, right? It's like they destroyed the nuclear family from the 70s forward to get to the point where you actually have people accepting the fact that you can. Our military has tampons in the men's washroom. Like, what are we doing? It's been so warped, and how confusing that must be for the generations coming up as well too. So I think there's a place for both, but what those both represent today, I think, is far different than it ever had. It's something brand new that we're trying to reverse engineer to get back to a healthy place as a society. But it's a long, long road based on how fast this moved and how far down the road they got. So go ahead, JP.
I think that's exactly what it is. It's an old archetype. Masculine is order, feminine is chaos. I think there's a everything's predicated on empathy with these left-leaning views. So I think it's predicated on that, which is more naturally the feminine. But yeah, it's also relevant, like feminism and how far that's taken us in these ways. I'm a firm believer that if we didn't have the influence of feminism, we wouldn't have drifted this far to the left, so to speak.
All right. Let's see what FU is asking. People don't know what's going on. They're going to probably listen to CBC and CTV and be on the left without even knowing it. Yeah, that's the downside of having state-sponsored propaganda to the tune of several $1 billion. Kris?
That's exactly why we are where we are. Like the media is not there to inform the public. The media is spouting the government narrative. And that, you know, every now and again you might see an article that I'm surprised now when I see CTV, CBC, or Global actually put something out. I'm like, you know, the Negan, really? But like you said, you know, and then you had Trudeau saying, oh, you know, the reason they get the headlines, you know, because they paid them to. Canadians are way too accepting of that. The government should not be funding the media at all, period. I don't care. Arts and culture and stuff like that. Like, yeah, if you want to help fund Murdoch Mysteries or other things that are culturally based, but not the news networks. Absolutely not. And for Canadians not to think how dangerous that is, or I mean, there's a lot of us that do know how dangerous it is, but there are so many that are just stuck in the matrix. I know people like you can't have conversations with them, but you know exactly where they're getting their news sources based on what they're saying, which is so bad. We now continue with our regular scheduled programming. They were not kidding. They were not kidding at all. Go ahead, JP.
Yeah, I don't think anything should be government funded. It's atrocious, and it's a huge problem, one of the biggest ones.
You know, on the topic of government funding, Alice Not Woke says people can't even recognize human suffering anymore. My parents would tell me when they were younger, lunchtime, dinner time, supper time, their parents would say, go out on the streets, anyone that's homeless, bring him in, we'll feed them. That is a decentralized welfare state. I don't think if you went to Canadians and said, we'll give you $100 if you can come up with a concept of a decentralized welfare state, I don't think they could do it.
As sad as that is, man, yeah, it's a loss of it's a lack of empathy, right, and compassion, unless they're on your team, right? Because we are so compartmentalized, right? And it's sad. Like, and no matter where you go, wherever you were living in this country, you walk outside your door, you are going to see someone that is suffering. You don't even have to go 2 blocks anymore in a lot of cities, that they're right there, right? And so I do whatever I can to help with the homeless. I don't give money, but if they have a dog, I do food, right? Food and drink whenever I possibly can. Hand out clothes, old blankets, old shoes, things, whatever. Because when I go out, it's one of those things too. During the COVID event, the number one thing for me was don't lose your humanity, right? Just don't get sucked into this, whatever the hell this is, right? We all remember the looks in people's eyes. It's like, okay, you lost your humanity clearly, because I know that you'd probably hurt me if I wasn't wearing a mask. Then I took the mask off. I only wore the mask when I was out with my mom because I didn't want to have to, right? Grew the beard and my hoodie, right? But again, at the end of the day, we can't forget, because any point in time, we could be somebody who needs that help. But now everyone is so self-absorbed, like almost has like these narcissistic traits were programmed into them. It's like, I'm all that matters. And I don't care. I don't see your suffering. I don't feel your suffering. And even if I do, I'm going to do nothing about it. So very good comment, Alice. Go ahead, JP.
I think human charity would naturally fill that role if it wasn't centralized by the state. I think that's how it was done prior to that. A lot of different churches were involved in charitable foundations. And I think if people weren't losing 42 to 43% of their income to the government and taxation, they would definitely be more inclined to help.
Jam Junior 14, hello to you as well, sir, ma'am. Clown World says, I haven't spent much time on social media in the last few days. I feel saner. I sat down outside and I read a book the other day. Social media rots your mind.
It does. Yeah. And we've all probably had those moments. If you're not aware of it, like I said, I had to visualize catching arrows, because if you just doom scroll, you're absorbing so much, right? Especially if you do have empathy and a heart. So yeah, I'm not surprised at all. And even working at the Ledge, not being on X all the time, is super healthy for me. I miss it though. Like I do, there's parts of me, but I don't think I'll ever go back into what I used to do, 8 to 10 hours a day. Oh man, no. But yeah, I'm glad you're feeling saner, Clown World. Go ahead, JP.
I don't know, man. I'm immune to it. I feel I'm aware of what it is. I know it's all hyperbole. It's meant to fuel things. Like I try to counter that with my presence. I try to tell people the truth, the nonpartisan version of it. Like think about some of these bigger core issues. So for me, it doesn't really have that demoralizing effect. The news cycle does, though. Like just reality is enough to demoralize me.
Clown World. Peyman, the question is, did you ask the banker woman out? No comment. Nori, thank you for the repost. Mr. Malosh, thank you for the repost. Alice Not Woke. We're frogs in a pot of slow boiling water is how we got there. Yeah, I mean, people they're not waking up. I did an episode with Jason James and he lost his temper on live air. And he's like, yeah, but Canadians, they've been boiling for 5 effing years. 5 effing years they've been boiling and they're still not jumping out.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is like you have such a huge psyop working against them, right? Like it's like $1 billion industry just in Canada alone, but it's not just the Canadian government that is wanting to keep people asleep and just sit there, right? The convoy was one of those different things, but again, I think the convoy had to happen, but at the same time, the government got what they wanted out of that. Nobody was held accountable, froze bank accounts. You had Mendocino's like, oh, we need a tank. You had these stormtroopers beating people up. You even had the government being found unconstitutional. But what the government got out of that was the chilling effect, and it's still here. Canadians they're unable to see it. If they're awake, they don't know what to do. Because are you going to risk everything for your country? I don't know. right? And I don't mean being violent. I mean just the act of protesting now against this government. You could lose your livelihood. You could lose your bank account. You could potentially even lose your life with some of the stuff we saw with the horses and stuff, right? So we're in a very precarious spot. I'm not in the if I'm in the pot, I'm dancing. I know what's going on. I want out of the pot, but it's a little hot.
Yeah, it's been done incrementally, so people have obviously acclimated to it. But there's a lot of people, man. We always talk about that. We get to this point where it's like, what does Canada have to see before they get engaged politically and start to try to come up with practical solutions? And it's seemingly nothing. Like I hate to have such a black pill, but it's seemingly not happening, guys. Like we have land expropriation, we have the government, like like all of these bills, they change fundamental aspects of what it means to be Canadian. They absolutely transition us into some shade of totalitarianism, and it's still not working. So I mean, in my mind, there's nothing that could trigger Canadians to getting out of the pot.
Yeah, I feel I sympathize. It's frustrating. Rational Post, it's good to see you as well. Let's see what JT has to say. The state, if it truly wanted to help, would simply offer parents guidelines they can use at their discretion instead of trying to be the parent themselves. Teach the parents to fish, don't give the fish to them. I agree, but that's not how the state operates. The state says, F the parents. We are we are the parents now. It's like that Captain Phillips meme. I am the parent.
You're
I'm
muted,
tempted
Kris.
not to tell him.
I think it's it popped up. My mic just big little box comes up, but I think it's one of those things where I don't broad brush it, right? And especially working at the ledge, like there are good people in there trying to do right, but you also have a majority government, so it's very difficult when the government is doing what they're doing. But I do think that if the state was, I agree, if they did want to actually help, like to actually govern, if they were there for noble reasons, not for individual personal agendas, self-aggrandizement, getting rich, all that, the swamp, it exists, absolutely, right? You have too many self-serving people that don't even swear loyalty to their constituents, they swear loyalty to the king, right? So there's really like what's missing is morality. What's missing is courage. What's missing is values and principles, and that courage to walk through those doors and say what needs to be said. That's right now. It's like parents. I can only imagine. Like I don't have kids. I fight. I try to help do it. I empathize with those that do, but the state's doing what they're doing, and it's not good for anybody, honestly, except for the upper class. That's it. Go ahead, JP.
Yeah, the state doesn't want to help. That's the simplest way to answer the question. They clearly don't want to help. They want quite to the contrary.
Kind of leads into the next question from Icy Crap Daily, and everybody should follow this user. He's phenomenal. It's the kleptocracy stage of government. It does feel like it, like they're just looting the government coffers.
Yeah, I've used that term a few times. It is a kleptocracy. The definition, they're stealing, and it's all for them. There's no for their friends, their families, and they're so brazen about it. That's like even just like I think the reason they shut down the health debates today, they went in camera, was because they can't account for a $300 million contract. Where'd the money go? All this kind of stuff, right? Conflicts of interest. They took over the committees, so all these conflicts of interest investigations get shut down. So they've got everything in the place where they can just keep stealing. Pigs at a trough. They're all benefiting, and you have nobody out there in Parliament actually, like, if you're an opposition leader, like, shouldn't you be organizing protests and stuff? I don't know. I'm just saying, it's like you can watch the ship go down, but you got to fight. And not violence. I'm just saying you got the ability to organize, the ability to show the government that we see you. But the people in this country need a leader to be able to do that, to be able to bring people together in a non-violent way, to actually send a message to this government, at the very least, that we see you. But even if they know we see them, they don't care. Not this group. I think they're all narcissists of varied, covert, grandiose. You got all the different types of narcissism, and some sociopaths in there as well, for sure. Not all of them, but again, they're not looking out for us, and they're stealing everything. Everybody be cool. It's a robbery. Go ahead, JP.
Yeah, I think it's more accurate to say Canada is a crime scene more so than a country presently. It's not a recession, it's a robbery.
bumper sticker. Andre Maloche says, gentlemen, how do you feel living in a dictatorship? Is it more or less uncomfortable for you? It's a strange type of dictatorship where nothing really changes. Incrementally, things get worse, but this isn't like Iran where they're executing people in the streets.
Yeah, it's true. It's like the illusion of democracy and freedom. That's what we're seeing. They're very good at it. They're very good at maintaining it. I'm not comfortable, but I'm not uncomfortable, because if I'm uncomfortable, then I'm giving them my power. They can do whatever they want, but I'm gonna stand my ground. Go ahead, JP.
The most surreal aspect for me is being aware while so many are sleeping. While so many are not willing to look at this thing, I can't look away. And I feel it's kind of analogous to being alive during a zombie apocalypse. That's kind of the more disconcerting aspect for me. It's like I'm in awe that people aren't like petrified and engaged and like trying to figure out what's going on, but no one seems to give a shit.
Well, I can give you some optimism and some hope. Alice Not Woke says Comey just got indicted. I don't know if that's true or anything, or if it'll lead anywhere.
I saw that.
If I was Trump at this point, I would just like take all my political adversaries and I'd Epstein them, like they just randomly die in prison, and then blame it on the left to be like, oh, it's these billionaire class. They're all ruining my court cases.
It's pretty dark, Peyman. Pretty dark. I think it's like one of those things. I'm glad if that's true, that's what we need to see, right? Will he be held accountable? Grab Clinton. Like, it's not like you don't have the evidence, right? It's not like that's the whole thing. That's like the most frustrating part for me is it's like not like there's not evidence. The fact that Trudeau's out going all around the world getting paid $100,000 to speak, like, come on. This guy was like, are we going to tolerate these people? Right? Like, he was literally trying to sick armies of people on Canadians because they wouldn't participate in a medical experiment. Like, all these people that are out there, Chrystia Freeland too, freezing the bank accounts. Lady, you belong in prison. Like, who do you think you are? And those laws are only suspended, right? So they not only they did it, they still exist. They can do it again. And she's off now as a liaison to Ukraine, right? Like, most likely, like, JP, go ahead. I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, there should be a few more. Comey's a good move, though. It's a step in the right direction. I heard you say that recently, Peyman, like yesterday, potentially. You were like, he should like indict Comey. That would be a big step. And then bam, just like that. I forgot to mention it too. That is absolutely accurate. I read about that prior to us starting the show.
You know how like you talk about trampolines and then your phone hears you and recommends trampolines from Amazon? Maybe Trump heard me talk about this.
I hope he heard you talking about pulling out of Iran.
Did you see the new Ford, that guy that did the overview of the new technology they're putting into Ford into the trucks, where the truck won't start if the truck feels that you're not capable of driving, right? They've all these new sensors and
there's an Asian joke in there somewhere.
Dude.
That's a big deal, man. It was all over social media today about that truck thing.
It's crazy how they're doing it, and that's when I brought that up. It's like we've always known, not always, but there's been a few times where I mentioned A&W, and all of a sudden I'm getting an A&W ad on my Facebook because what the phone's hearing, and they're doing. So they've been doing this kind of shit for a very long time. It should be illegal, but again, it's the way that the system is. When you're in the matrix, right? What is the matrix? Is the matrix social media? Is the matrix here? Because there's like crossovers in much of it that make you stand there and go, am I being effed with here? Like, why am I getting an A&W? I remember the first time that happened. Why am I getting an A&W Facebook ad right after I mentioned
this episode of PSD brought by one of our sponsors, A&W.
There you go. Right.
Let's see. Andre Maloche says Trump is merely a symptom of a collapsing civilization, and he doesn't even realize he's the catalyst. He's too stupid to understand the role he's playing. I mean, everybody says George H.W. Bush, like you set that marker, and ever since then, the quality, the caliber of presidents has been steadily declining.
George Jr.
with Biden. Well, George Bush Jr. was a moron, but Clinton was. I don't think he was really a good president either.
No,
go ahead.
No, not at all. Again, Clinton again too is one of those. It's so they're masters of illusion, right? How do you get to the point where you're oh, the husband, and then, oh, no, the wife, and then you got the father, and then you got the son. It's like, what are you guys doing? You're America. Why do you let these few families run the show? You know, it just made no sense to me, and that's why you always question it. It's like, oh, the best guy's the son. So then we saw, oh, Pierre Trudeau, Justin Trudeau. It's like there's how many millions of people? Hundreds of millions in the States. I have no idea where the immigration numbers are. Last time I checked, it was like 40 million or something in Canada. That was a month ago, so we could probably be at 80 million by now with the amount of people they're bringing in. I have no idea. But to say that Justin Trudeau was the best person for the job, are you kidding me? And Mark Carney, again, a foreigner, foreign banker, who openly admits. Did you see that on Fox News? That guy's tearing a strip out of Carney, just saying he's like the elitist of the elite. He does not care about your country. Wake up, Canada, kind of thing. It was great. Go ahead, JP.
I think Andre's right, but I would like to qualify it by saying, like, that's evident now, but even as recently as 6 months ago, there was still question. Now, I wanted to believe, so I was definitely biased. I hung on for too long as far as I'm concerned. But watching this over the last several years, Trump was like, he was the guy that was going to oppose this. He was the guy everyone got behind to drain the swamp, to actually change things. And since his second term started, it's become abundantly clear that he is a symptom. I don't think he realizes the extent of it, but he must be somewhat aware that he's being used. Tucker Carlson said it best. Someone asked Tucker, they said, what do you think of all the insults Trump has levied at you? He said, I feel sorry for all slaves. Clearly, Trump isn't making his decisions, and I feel terrible for him. I feel that I have a similar take on it.
Alice Not Woke says, doesn't each state have its own legislation on transgenderism, and it's about getting the right judges and governors in place? Yeah, in the US, they have more mechanisms for taking back their country when things go off the rails.
Way
so
more.
elected judges is one of them. We don't have that here in Canada, but just as a case study, even though they have more levers of control, they're in the same position that we are. They just have, they have people like George Soros that manipulates the better system that they have. So there's no easy way out.
No, and I don't think that Trump is stupid. I think that he is what he is, right? He grew up with all those people, right? You can see the connections, and whether or not he had intentions of doing good and then found out quickly that that's not going to happen. He's done some good things. Where he's at right now, I'm standing back and I'm looking at him with a very curious eye as far as what's going on. I can't go all in and say, oh no, I don't trust him. He's a part of the, I don't trust any politicians, but at the same time, he could do an executive order, right? He could do an executive order on that. And then you'd have all the court challenges and stuff, right? But it's not like you're not going to have the doctors that'll testify. And you want to really bring that into a courtroom, you sick freaks. You want to keep it under the freaking carpet so that people don't actually see what's happening to these kids. So, but yes, governors and judges, you need a unified front. And there's been so much infiltration into the systems, and in Canada as well, too. We see, like the Human Rights Tribunal, what was that, Barry Neufeld, $750,000 for having an opinion that didn't go along with the establishment. So I'll leave it there. Go ahead, JP.
Yeah, it's there's definitely more mechanisms for states' rights. So each state does have a jurisdiction and can potentially push back against it. But it's like, I think it was Gramsci who originally said it, politics is downstream from culture. We reference that line a lot on this show, and I think it's very accurate. And I think the culture's changing. I think that's went to its inevitable absurd end. And people are starting to realize that this was a big mistake. The lobotomy of our generation would be an understatement. So I think naturally we'll see everything else fall in place.
We got a comment from AHS Refugee, if you bear with me, it's a long one. Doctors in medical science are responsible for gender surgery, and MAID proves the medical industry is out of control and must be investigated seriously for contempt toward life and its responsibility. Yes, but who's going to investigate the ones in charge. What was that saying? Who watches the watchers? Like they have all the levers of power in Canada. And I don't think they'll investigate themselves.
So either it's the colleges, right? It's like if you step out of line, they'll take your license away. You know, that is where like the major, like the power has been centralized. And in BC, we've got the Health Professionals and Occupations Act that just came into play, where I'm not going to get into that tonight, but at the same time, it has put healthcare professionals in BC in a very difficult situation as far as having to toe the line or facing serious consequences, jail time, even as well too, if you don't go along with things. Hopefully, you know, I'll say, but I work for Jordan. Jordan is trying to get that bill repealed, and there is momentum there to try and give the doctors give them their rights back. But a lot of them right now are in a situation where they're leaving, they're not getting their licenses renewed. But Sir or Miss AHS, I agree, right? They're way off the charts, and they've lost that Hippocratic oath, right? Do no harm, and they're doing a lot of harm. Go ahead, JP.
I think there's a lot to be said about the financial incentives. It's a multi-million dollar industry, from transitioning to the surgical aspect of it. Like it's big business on some end. And I think that the only way to really affect them, or the most effective approach, is what's happening naturally. And that's a lot of these detransitioners seeking legal action. I think this will see things change. I hope it will anyway.
We got a comment from Alice Not Woke. But every time they talk about Epstein, more and more people learn about it in the mainstream. Even my woke mother knows about Epstein now, which is incredible. Yeah, that's, in addition to governing, the purpose of the presidency is to educate the people, unfortunately, in this day and age. Maybe back in the day before World War II, it was the legislature, the Congress. But my God, man, he did a piss poor job because he got sidetracked with Iran.
Fully agree. And even my mom knows about Epstein now as well, right? So got to keep talking about it, and we'll see what happens next with it. But I don't have a lot of hope to see that we'll see a lot of big name people, but we should. And I have no doubt there's Little St. James isn't the only place, right? He was just one guy with an island and a network around him, but there's lots of islands, and it's a big industry too. And again, humanity, get to it, boys and girls. We should not be allowing this to happen to kids. Go ahead, JP.
Yeah, it's I think just the way it was handled was atrocious. Even if he thought like, this is too big. Some of these people are too big. I can't do this. He was pressured. He still should have picked a few scapegoats. From a purely strategic or tactical regard, he should have picked a few lower profile celebrities and just threw the book at them. And like, we're doing our best. You know what I mean? It would have helped, but instead they chose to just gaslight you. Like, you're still talking about Epstein? What's wrong with you guys? Well, did you see the Dow? You know what I mean? They're eating babies. Like, did you guys see the Dow? It's ludicrous, guys. I think everyone senses that too.
I thought they were going to give us something with COVID, right? I'm just like, okay, they let Trudeau go off the handle. They let Macron go off the handle. Ardern, there's a few people around the world that were just absolute lunatics. And that's what I figured, that one day they'd be like, knock, knock, knock. But you promised. And it's like, yeah, no. We accomplished our mission. We have to give the public something. That's what I expected to happen. But like I said, $100,000 for speeches. Yeah, I'll spit the black pill out at the end of the show. Go ahead, JP. Oh no, Peyman. Sorry, I interrupted.
Clown World says that in the UK, as of the end of this year, if you were born after 2007, no smoking for you. And then Alice says, now I want to take up smoking just on principle. It's absurd. I remember when I was partying in Germany 20 years ago, we'd go into a nightclub. You got these like low ceilings, huge fire hazards. Everyone's smoking inside. It's like a basement. You come out, your eyes are burning, your hair smells like smoke for 3 days. It was the best time of my life. Nobody told me. Yeah.
The good old
get the
days.
Government out of the nightclubs.
Yeah, I remember that. I was reading about that, and it was I believe it's 2009, but it's still the point is still relevant. Yeah, it's atrocious. Again, we're just every day, man. That's the water increasing a temperature. That's like the dog out on the leash, and every day they take one of the links out of his chain. And that's what that is. It's just another thing. And it's not even relevant. Like, kids barely smoke anymore. They do use those vapes though, but smoking rates have been going down naturally. Just leave it alone.
Go ahead, Kris.
Oh no, I agree. Just again, get out of my life, government. Like make sure the roads are good, that there's police force, that there's firefighters, that there's paramedics, base level stuff. But the rest of it, just stay the hell out of it. Like, it's such busybodies, right? Because they can, I guess. Go ahead, JP.
No, JP. We got a complaint from the audience. Andre says, "Hey, the frog in the hot water, that's cultural appropriation. Only French-speaking Quebecers are French frogs." Apologies, sir.
Andre's on fire tonight with the comments.
Yeah, he is. He's got a fair point, though.
Alice, I'm so sorry. This country sucks. we got some problems. Kris?
Oh, we do have problems, but they're still good people. I think it's one of those things where we weren't born out of revolution. I think that there's been a lot of things that, I remember back in the day, peacekeeping, right? And just when I grew up, that was it. People telling me it's like back in the day, Americans would put Canadian flags on their backpacks when they traveled because we were just welcomed everywhere. And, I know we've lost our way, but at the same time, you can't give up. That's what they want. Once that seed's planted, right, you got to make sure that you're gardening every day to make sure you get that out of there and get up and get what you have to get done, and then piss off as many globalists as you can. Irritate them at the very least. Yeah, that's all I got to say on that.
I agree with Alice. I don't really have anything else. I agree. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to add.
Actually, yeah. Andre Malosh has got a funny comment. In the Soviet Union, children were manufactured in Soviet factories and were the property of the Communist Party. Canada is imitating an old ideology. I have an interview with Melanie Bennett. She's now with Juno News. She's sort of an expert on Marxism in schools. And she said that the government's view towards parenting is the parent's job is as a baby factory. After they've given birth, their job kind of ends and they hand the baby over to the state. Kris?
Oh no, my chest just filled up with rage. It's true though, and they've got quite the assembly line right now going, and that is what is so painful to watch. Great comment though, Andre. Go ahead, JP.
Yeah, I mean, our school system is based on a Prussian military model. A lot of various Marxists, Gramsci again, and he's relevant again with the whole critical pedagogy, teaching them in the school, Yuri Bezmenov, ideological subversion. A lot of these things are baked into it. I think communism isn't entirely accurate nowadays. I mean, Canada, we have a central banking WEF member transitioning us into like a corporate state of some kind where we're more employees and less citizens. I feel like an indentured employee with privileges as opposed to a citizen with rights. So, I mean, I don't think communism is entirely accurate, but there's a lot of overflow there for sure.
Kris, the remanded that would like you to check your DM. I've been sent an email response to my submissions. So remanded, everybody go ahead and follow him. He's doing great work on BC election fraud. Alice Not Woke says, but if all the judges are corrupt, how can we press charges, infiltrated and rotten to the core? Man, I'm sorry for plugging my show, but go watch the interview I did with Matthew Arnold on his attempt to hold the government accountable. The courts, the prosecutors, and law enforcement, they're all on the same team. It's very difficult to get justice in this country unless you're super mad rich.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Go watch the interview. Go ahead, JP.
Yeah, I did an interview with Bathsheba Vandenberg. I believe you had her on as well, Peyman, and she was mentioning this issue. It's like, it's so insulting at this point when you just look specifically at the Emergencies Act done by the Trudeau administration, like that in 2 courts of law, that was proven to be illegal. And they not only did we not get an apology or any recourse, they still say it like it's not illegal. Like as if the government had to do that, just in their phrasing, the Liberals in Parliament, it's outrageous.
That's crazy. Andre Malosh, 1970, Pierre Trudeau, 2015, Justin Trudeau, 2035, Xavier James Trudeau. And you thought things couldn't get any worse. Kris.
I got nothing. Just the thought of that is just like but it's not out of the realm of possibility because again, that fits the illusion, right? And so if they're going to do that by 2035, okay, like I'm not going to be okay with it, but we see with our government, they've just taken complete control. So if that happens, maybe I'll go back and have a drink with you, Andre. Go ahead, JP.
Yeah, the prospect is too grim to even consider. I think that kid has a big career as a rapper anyway.
Oh yeah,
Xavier. We're almost at the end. I'll go back to the top again, but Johnny Tightlips JT says to you, JP, make darts great again.
Darts. I haven't heard that.
I'm doing my part, man. It's like I say, I don't even smoke. I just do it for the aesthetic when I'm podcasting.
What were those candy smokes? Popeyes? They're actually Popeyes, the hard candy. He doesn't smoke at all.
I've been smoking since I was 4 with those. Okay.
All right, we got some comments from Peggy, but Peggy, I don't know what the hell is going on with your network time protocol. Her comments they're getting prepended at the top. Peggy says it's all vehicles that are getting the surveillance camera for 2027. No, is that true?
They U.S. Congress just voted for that. Thomas Massey is going off about it as well too. So if you want to check his account out, but yeah, they voted for it. So it's mandatory by the end of 2027. They have to be equipped with this stuff. All new vehicles.
A lot of these patents came from Ford, is what people are saying. Ford kind of revolutionized a lot of the technology that this is reliant upon. Mm-hmm. And it's just like every day. It's even in America, man. It's the same thing. Like they're transitioning us. Like the Great Reset is real.
Here's another one from Peggy. Clinton was running drugs with the CIA through Arkansas. He's a Rhodes Scholar and wrote Glass-Steagall. JP, I'll let you talk to Glass-Steagall. I just watched American Made with Tom Cruise. Great movie.
It is a good movie.
Clinton. Yeah.
Well, these Rhodes Scholar, it's super relevant. This is where they groom a lot of their politicians. Bill Clinton was a protege of Carol Quigley, who famously wrote Tragedy and Hope. I don't know if you're aware of that, Peggy, but he was actually groomed by Carol Quigley himself, who wrote the most relevant book regarding this supranational network that truly runs the West.
Kris, did you get a chance to go?
No, but I agree with JP. Yeah, I'll leave it there. We've got another question. Thanks for the question.
Yeah, we got David Fishman. The Legions were full of smoke back in the day, and my clothes smelled like cigarettes. Man, those were the good old days. You get on a plane, and it's just one big smoke capsule. I miss it.
I remember it when I used to, when I was younger, you go to the bar, you walk in, and depending on what time of night, it's like 11 o'clock at night. You walk in and you can't even see who's on the other side of the room. You literally got to go through it. But it was like, all right. We didn't care, right? We're just like, we're there to have a good time. Everyone's smoking, drinking, dancing. Was it good for us? No, but at the same time, it was still fun.
Happened when I was 20. I remember I was 19. I was allowed into the bars and the clubs, and there was smoke all over the place. By the time I was 20, they got rid of it. That was when the laws were put into place where I'm from.
Okay. And Peggy says, yes, she's aware that Quigley was his mentor.
I figured she would be.
No, the shopping malls were full of smoke with smokers sitting on the benches in the hall. I remember there used to be cigarette butts everywhere. Man, those good old days.
Different time.
Let me see if there's anything at the bottom. Andre says, cheers. We can all have a drink together. If it's not forbidden, then yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they ban alcohol soon. Kris?
I don't know if they will, because I don't know if they will ban alcohol because it keeps the population numb. I don't think they'll ban weed because it keeps the population numb. But if it is banned by then, Andre, we'll work something out. We'll have like a moonshine connection all across. We'll figure it out. Some potato vodka.
I think Andre discovered the straw that would break the Canadian electorate's back. Ban alcohol. We'd be in the fucking streets immediately.
You think they're going to come out with bug booze, like bug-based alcohol?
No doubt.
They might get away with the banning of alcohol until like the first sporting event where everyone's in the freaking stands and they're watching this, and it's like, no, charge.
Here's the unacceptable. Says that he used to work at the Brick and he offered clients a cigarette for big purchases. That was the good old days. It's ballsy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The embedded ashtrays. Do you remember that? It says, JT says the old hospitals had embedded ashtrays. They had them in cars. They had them on planes.
In the walls. Yeah.
Go into like a McDonald's, there'd be those little tin ones on the table, those disposable ashtrays.
Holy shit, look at some of this. Lilmo says, I remember smoking with my doctor in his office. He's like, I'm sorry, son, you have lung cancer.
Good
Yeah,
times,
different era, man. Well,
Good
that was
times.
when it was on you, right? The liability in some of the laws really ruined a lot of this stuff. Now a business was liable if an employee caught lung cancer. It's like, well, you shouldn't work in a bar. You know people are smoking.
Holy
Mhm.
crap,
Even on
man.
the
I didn't
person.
realize so many in our audience, they're so passionate about smoking.
Smoking in the boys' room.
Smoking in the
right? Like,
bathroom. I smoked in the plane back in the day. Jeez.
It's the nostalgia, right? For the good old days.
All right, next week, please come back with your most exciting cigarette-related story. We'll read your comments out.
yeah, or cigarettes or alcohol-induced stories. We should just spend a whole episode just having everyone lay it on out there about the good old days.
All right, JP, I'm throwing it back to you.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for coming out, and I will appeal to you guys if you could please share the stream. It's very advantageous for us. We get a lot of our views after the live broadcast, and yeah, thanks for coming out. See you next time.